Hello and welcome to a new podcast. I am Ajay Prakash. Today's topic that I have selected is about the Indian American MAGA supporters. Well, they were Trump supporters till the last election, and it appears they have been left in the lurch with no shoulder to cry on. A dream that appears to have turned sour. Now, once upon a time, in a fairy tale land of MAGA politics, a small but noisy group of Indian Americans believed that they had found their perfect political partner in Donald Trump. Remember how Howdy Modi rally in Houston in 2019? The joint bear hug between Trump and Modi looked like a wedding photograph. Many first generation Indian immigrants, particularly in the IT and healthcare, thought that they had found a friend who would protect their interests and values. Now, fast forward to today, those same people are discovering that the slogans they cheered have turned into bills that they must pay. The strongman they admired now threatens the very visa channel that brought them to America. Now, today's podcast is about this twist of fate and about how political romance often ends in a cold transaction. Let's do a reality check. Let's start with some facts. Trump has proposed a one-time H-1B application fee of US dollars 100,000. He has threatened new tariffs on Indian IT services and goods, saying that they undercut American jobs. He has now also announced a tariff on imported generic pharmaceuticals from India, a move that hit two groups at once: American patients who rely on affordable Indian made generics for everything from heart disease to diabetes will face higher prices from now on, and Indian exporters whose low cost generics have been a backbone of India's $25 billion plus pharma export industry will see demand shrink as their products become less competitive in the US market. And in a flourish of geopolitical theater, he accused India of funding Russia's war in Ukraine by buying discounted Russian oil, while the EU still imports more Russian energy than India. For the context, about 280,000 Indians currently work in the US on H-1B visas, and roughly 70 to 75% of all new H-1B visas each year go to Indians. Meanwhile, Indian generics account for 20 to 25% of all US prescriptions by volume, so a tariff isn't just a diplomatic jab, it's a punch to the American consumer's wallet. Any shift in H-1B rules, service tariffs, or pharma duties hits the Indian origin community hardest, including many of Trump's own MAGA-leaning supporters. Now, what is the political blind spot which we are unable to see? Why did a slice of Indian American community back Trump so passionately? Some of it was cultural conservatism, a belief that Republicans were closer to their own family oriented values. Some admired Trump's strongman style, finding it similar to Modi's style back home. Some liked his tax cut promises and pro business rhetoric. But they overlooked a crucial point. In America, immigration is a domestic bargaining chip, and no amount of cultural alignment shields you when the political wind starts to shift. In short, they mistook a brief political romance for a lasting partnership. And on top of that, the 88 lakh barrier and its domino effect. Now, here's the real bombshell. Trump's proposed one-time H-1B application fee of $100,000 may sound like a technical tweet in Washington, but for an Indian professional, that's about 88 lakh rupees, practically the price of a flat in a two-tier Indian city. Now, who pays this $100,000? Most American employers are not going to pay up. If they can hire the same skill in Toronto or elsewhere or Bangalore without paying that toll, they will. So the burden shifts to the aspiring immigrant, or the opportunity simply disappears. And the immediate hiring chill. A freshly minted STEM graduate in US typically earns about $80,000 to $90,000 a year. Facing a 88 lakh upfront visa bill is enough to shut the door even before they start their job. Mid-career professionals will hesitate to switch employers if a change of job requires a fresh application because that would trigger the fee all over again. For companies, the H-1B shifts from being a talent pipeline to being a costly liability. Now, what is this long-term structural impact? Let's run a conservative scenario. In a typical year, around 770,000 to 80,000 new H-1B visas go to Indians. If the fee discourages even 50,000 potential entrants per year, that's half the future talent flow will dry up. Average remittance per H-1B household is roughly $15,000 per year. Multiply that 50,000 fewer entrants into $15,000 over 5 years, that's about $3.7 billion less remittance flowing back to India over 5 years. That's money that won't pay for siblings' education, won't go to parents' health care, won't support small town businesses back in India. The talent pipeline and innovation. US tech firms that have long relied on Indian graduates to fill critical software research and healthcare roles will shrink their intakes. The next Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella may never get the chance to climb the American ladder. So, although it's a one time fee, it works like a permanent barrier, deterring the youth, freezing the mobile, and slowly starving the bridge that carried skills and dollars across the oceans. For the Indian American MAGA enthusiasts, the irony bites. The strongman they cheered for has put up the costliest immigration toll in US history, and they or their children will pay for it first. So, what is the strategic vacuum that is setting in? Here's the deeper irony. By leaning so heavily into MAGA politics, these voters made themselves politically homeless. Democrats, long the default choice of Indian American voters, now distrust their intention. Republicans, having quoted them as a dependable bloc, have turned their backs when it comes to immigration. It's like helping build a bridge to MAGA land only to be told later that you have to pay a toll and the toll collector won't even smile. So what's the lesson for our diaspora in US? What's the real takeaway? Diaspora politics cannot be built on imported loyalties or personality cults. The US political system is transactional. Your influence depends on your organized lobbying power and the clarity of your demands. Indian American voters, including the MAGA leaning bloc, need to focus on policy priorities that safeguard their own long term interests: immigration reform, education research funding, and tech sector stability. Otherwise, they'll keep being props in someone else's rally photo while having no say in the fine print of laws that shape their lives. So, I'll be closing today's podcast a wry reflection. In chasing the warmth of a strong man's embrace, these Indian American MAGA enthusiasts forgot the oldest rule of politics: interests speak louder than slogans. Now they face rising visa costs, a weary job market, and no political shoulder to cry on. Perhaps the next chapter of the Indian American story in US politics will be less about rallies and more about strategy and about remembering that in a democracy, friends come and go, but interests endure. Thank you for watching.